very fixed, very, surgery. If surgery is, what do they call it? Arthroscopic, very quick and easy, fast recovery time. And she's like, but if we don't do that, I will die, right? And I was like, well, yeah, I guess, but we're gonna do it.
You know what's quick and easy? Me switching us over onto the show because it's
I know.
it's time.
I wasn't gonna stop talking.
Yeah.
Got actual comics ready.
Yeah. So, welcome to Super Serial Showtime, everyone. We're live. As always, I'm your host, Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. If you guys like the show or not, I don't care. Share it with somebody else. That is an order. Grow the audience, get some more people in here. We'll have a good time. We'll have other people to chat with. It's not just for me. It's for you, too. And if you happen to actually like the show, you can always give a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitoriumlive. Really helps us out. And with that, we'll get into it. How you doing today?
Good. Did you know that there are at least 19 varieties of ants in Arizona?
No, but that actually sounds like a pretty low number compared to most other places.
Yeah. Including 2 different species of fire ant. So, yeah. There's a standard fire ant, I guess you'd call it, which we were talking about before the show, is, in my opinion, not as bad of a sting as people say.
Yeah.
And then there's the red imported fire ant from South America, and it looks a lot bigger, so I imagine it's a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure. Just like what is it? Some of the worst things are all from South America, including the army ant from down there, and all of those ants are just huge, like, ginormous.
And killer bees, although they're, I guess, originally from Africa, like the Africanized honeybees. I believe
I've always heard the term Africanized, but I was never sure if that actually meant they were from Africa or not.
Yeah, they're a hybrid of a type of bee from
there's
Africa.
A lot of things out there where they have a name that's like blank this, and it sounds like they should be from a place, but they're actually not.
Yeah, no, I know this because I've always, well, not always, most of my life I've lived in the South, and killer bees, as they're colloquially called, which are the Africanized honeybees, are moved up into the United States from mostly Central America.
Okay.
Not really. I don't think South America. Yeah, I mean, they've probably moved south into South America.
I just know they're also like fuzzier, like they have that like ring around their neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, it is a hybrid of an African bee. I don't know if it's an African bee, but an American or North American honeybee. So I guess maybe I don't know. I have to look up exactly where the hybrid originated, somewhere in the Americas, but it was due to imports from Africa.
I can safely say that all bees originated on Earth.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you say so.
Yeah.
And then there's other invasive species, like growing up in Alabama. There's kudzu, which came from Japan.
Yeah.
And quickly became the bane of the whole Southeast's existence.
It's mostly the government's fault, because it could be taken care of very easily and actually be a good, profitable crop if they ever did the proper things in the first place that they never did, and now it's just out of hand.
Yeah, because it grows so fast. You would think, I don't know if it's usable, kind of like hemp, could it be usable as a textile?
It's usable as feed for animals. Like cows can just eat it.
Is it?
Yeah, they just straight up just eat it. It's nutritious.
Not
for
poisonous?
No. It's actually one of the better uses for it. And that's actually one of the reasons they wanted to use it originally, was as a replacement for animal feed. And it just ended up in places it shouldn't. There was never proper regulation and oversight on it to make sure it didn't end up in those places. And every attempt to manage it has been half-assed ever since it was put there in the first place.
And yeah, it's terrible for the same reason I think it was thought that it could be good, because I believe, unless I'm mistaken, it grows at a rate of about 3 feet per day.
Oh yeah. That's
If
why
you
they call
believe
it creeping vine.
It's unbelievable, and it just certain times of the year you'll see it just destroying
The downside
all of the plants.
is that it requires a lot of water, which is why it's taken over a certain portion of the United States, but only that portion of the United States. It has been creeping northward towards Canada because there is still a lot of water there, but it doesn't go past a certain meridian just because, like, where the rain shadow, at a certain point, it's just too dry for it to grow.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen it north of Alabama.
Oh, there are
some
some
places I've ever
it
seen
has
it in
been.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't doubt that it's in Mississippi. I've never.
I also know it's one. I think it's probably
Georgia.
mostly South Carolina, but at least one of the Carolinas is basically completely taken
sounds about
over.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you Alabama is too.
Yeah. But yeah, it requires a lot of water.
Yeah. It's not like a wasteland. There's plenty of.
But it will be eventually, in a way, sort of.
Maybe.
Right? Like, if a city gets abandoned, the reason it's not, like, covering cities is because people live there and they can cut it away. But it will just completely claim any abandoned, like, property or city, and it'll decompose it faster than normal because it's tearing away at the structure.
Yeah, that's 100% true. You find an abandoned lot with a building that hasn't been occupied for like a couple of years,
and it looks more like a hedged statue that was carved into the shape of the thing.
Yeah, it's like, wow, that thing is just covered. But it dies. It's not a year-round thing. It dies in the winter, and then it'll be clearly a building covered in brown dead kudzu.
Or like if you look over the hillside, you're like, I see a bush that is oddly in the shape of a 1950s car.
Yeah. It'll do that. But yeah, it's like the what's it called in Game of Thrones, the grass of Ostros or whatever.
Yeah.
Where they say the grass sea will eventually take over the world. Crazy.
But yeah, it's not even poisonous to humans, believe it or not. Now, it doesn't taste particularly good, so I wouldn't recommend going and eating it, but it could be put into a human diet. Like, there's all kinds of things you could do about it. You would just need a very strong and uniform measure to start doing anything about it.
Mm-hmm. See, I prefer honeysuckle, which unfortunately often gets killed by kudzu, but yeah, honeysuckle, I like to pluck the flowers, suck out the nectar.
Hey, my camera, I don't know what's up with it. It wasn't a good spot, but now I just feel like I'm really far over, and I have no idea why I'm that far over, and I'm just trying to... There we go. That's fine enough.
Probably not going to be able to see it, but... See that? I guess not really. Sort of see the light behind your head, but...
Yeah.
Turned on the Christmas tree. There it is. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's like directly behind my head. Hey, Fish. So another thing I should say, Merry Christmas, everyone, because this will be, I guess, the episode closest to Christmas. Actually, both shows will be on equal distance to Christmas midnight between the 2 days.
Yeah, except the next one will be after Christmas. So it doesn't
So it's kind of weird to tell people, well, it's be Happy New Year at that point.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that'll be our pre-New Year, because a week from now will be our real New Year episode.
Sort of. Yeah, it'll be the same spot.
It'll be
because
2 days.
Always, yeah.
Really
always exactly a week after Christmas. It's the same midnight crossover.
Yeah. But yeah, who knew you'd know something like this? Apparently, kudzu is edible. Kidding.
Of course, if anybody would know that, it would be me.
Hmm. Apparently, every part of it. I mean, leaves are like spinach. The flowers, I didn't know it had flowers.
Yep.
I guess that makes sense.
His buds.
Can be used in salads, jams, or desserts. Roots can be ground into a powder and used as a thickener in soup. And the shoots can be harvested in the spring and eaten like
Speaking of it,
asparagus.
coming from Japan, there's a lot of very old traditional Japanese dishes that involve it. So
Yeah. There you go.
mostly soups.
And that could be a good segue into some sort of anime thing that's happening.
I
maybe?
guess. I mean, Fish Shows also brings up the obvious big story of Superman because that teaser was put out. If you want to talk about that, I did have it on my list of things to talk about.
I've seen a few pretty sour takes where I'm like, dude, lighten up, you know? I thought,
Yeah, I have like very mixed opinions. Like visually, I don't think it looks good, but it looks like it could be fun. Like that's my thing. Is like, and I don't really care that visually I don't think it looks good. I think the fact that it might be fun just matters more to me. Like,
yeah,
even supposed to be, I think Guy Gardner, like Nathan Fillion just looks really stupid in that wig,
oh,
right? Like, there's a bunch of little
was-
things. Like, I think this
yeah,
in motion too. Finally getting to see Superman walk around, I think he just looks bad in his suit. But like, what they have going on actually looks kind of fun. So I don't really care so much.
yeah.
Hey, Flip.
I mean, I don't. Maybe in my, or I don't know, comic skatey days of yore,
Yeah.
like 2 years ago, I might have been more critical, but now I'm just like, you know what? It just looks like a fun movie.
Well,
Looks
that's why I'm
really
caring
cool.
more about it. Like, I'm still gonna be honest though on how I think something looks visually, but
Yeah.
visuals are only one aspect of a film, right? So we've got a lot of different things going on, and I do think it looks kind of fun. The only thing that I don't particularly like is I don't like it when characters are a little too far removed from how they act in the source material, right? And I saw a interview with Gunn where he said that Crypto looks cute, but he's kind of like a rascal, or he's not such a good boy because it was kind of based off of his own kind of mutt who gets in trouble a lot. And like, no, but Crypto's a good boy. You know, like he's the goodest of boys. I don't, you know. That's the only thing that I've seen so far, though. I'm sure more will come out. And who knows? He might be exaggerating. Like, Crypto could still be a good boy. But, like, he's like, no, he's the goodest of boys. You can't make him like a wild dog.
No, I mean, that's like, you know, people were saying, oh, he doesn't smile or whatever. It's like, but there's Crypto. Like, that's going to make the audience smile. He's cute.
Yeah. There's got to be at least a moment where Superman's like smiling at the Fortress of Solitude playing with Crypto. Like, how could you not smile in that situation? Yeah, hey, Mike.
I mean, they didn't have that in the trailer, but I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't give a shit.
Well, there was barely a
Superman
trailer. It was a
smiled.
teaser for the full trailer. So we'll definitely see more.
I got to look up. I want to show
Yeah.
the trailer, but first, Meta. How do you spell that? More.
Metamorpho is in this movie for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why Metamorpho. Like half the things in this movie don't make sense why they're there.
Oh, see, I thought that was Lex Luthor. Is Lex Luthor in this? I don't know. We'll have to watch it again. I haven't seen it in a couple days.
I watched it once.
Yeah,
That's it.
I saw a bald guy, and I thought, oh, well, it's a good-looking Lex Luthor, but apparently that is Metamorpho. Maybe there's another. But like, I've been waiting. We have the technology. Why not have a Superman intergalactic kind of a movie with? It looked like maybe Brainiac is in this.
Was it?
Is he?
Because I thought I saw
Or
like
someone-
Starro or somebody or no, who was
Maybe.
it? It was the planet guy. What's the fucking planet guy's name? I'm trying to remember. No, not the planet. The guy who is a literal star.
Is a star or is a planet? Because there's
No,
both.
it's a star technically. Dude, I said his name earlier this year when we were talking about it, and I'm blanking on it right now. Fizchozo probably knows off the top of his head.
Yeah. Let's see. There is Mogo is the living planet, who is a Blue Lantern also. Or no, he's a Green Lantern.
No, there's a
he's
dude who's
I thought
like
he was a Blue
literally
Lantern.
like a neutron star.
There's a green.
And Lobo has even like tossed him before, which is funny. He's like literally somehow he got his hook inside of a star and just like tossed him. It's like, how do you get a hook in a star? But that's comic stuff.
I don't know about that. Let's see. Living stars.
No, he doesn't actually know because it's a minor character.
There's Star Superion. There's Star Superion. There is category living star. Aquarius.
Oh God, I'm trying to remember this dude's name. I know how to find it. I mean, I'm gonna have to go through a little dig for a second.
He has Aquarius apparently has a cosmic rod. Good for the ladies, I suppose.
I can find it.
I've never heard of any of these, but I'm just Googling. I mean, I guess I could look up.
Pulsar Stargrave is the one that I'm thinking of.
Pulsar Stargrave. That sounds like the guy from Umbrella Academy. Okay. I don't know who that is. Never heard of that.
It may not be, but he often has the form of a star. He has like a human. All these people have like a human form too.
Sure. But I saw what I think maybe you're thinking of, and I think I thought it was like a ship. Maybe Brainiac's ship. I don't know, but could be wrong. Typical James Gunn quirky. Well, it seems like there's a hell of a lot of enemies. Well, it's a hell of a lot of characters.
Yeah, it seems like he's just trying to throw us into a moving like DC universe just to get everything kicked off.
Yeah.
Which like
just
Superman is kind of the only character you can pull that off with. I think it's a little less like Justice League and closer to Batman versus Superman, just hopefully not handled as poorly, which was like a proto Justice League in a way. They introduced Wonder Woman through it and a bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm. I like in those things. I just hate how the villains are just so blah. Like that version of
like
Doomsday.
Yeah, dude, that Doomsday was awful.
He didn't talk. I'm like, Doomsday talked in the comics.
That's because I think he stopped talking after a while for the most part. And I think it's because people thought it was stupid. But like I'm like, no, it's comics. This stuff is corny on purpose.
Yeah, it's about as stupid as Thanos in his chair riding his. Did he have an airplane and maybe
the
a
Thanos
car
copter
at some point?
Yeah, the Thanos copter. Which you could get a toy of the Thanos copter.
Yeah,
I feel like they made it just so they could have a toy. Like that's it. But yeah, like Doomsday, I think most of his modern appearances, he just yells. It's a bunch of rars and stuff.
He had I guess a really complex and kind of very sad backstory, but they just kind of said, screw all that. He's just like Lex Luthor's clone with General Zod.
Let's see. We got another couple questions. First off, how is Doomsday talking dumb? Since that has to do with what we're directly talking about.
I agree.
I think it's just because people see him, and kind of even the purpose of him is at the time he was supposed to be like death incarnate, like a force of nature. And personally, I have no problem with a force of nature talking, but a lot of people just kind of prefers if a force of nature is something that can't talk, because it seems even more like you can't reason with, even though in this case, like, it doesn't change whether you can reason with Doomsday or not. It's just a nitpick that a lot of people have that I don't even agree with. Like, I'm just stating their side of the story.
Yeah, I mean, he can have a personality. I mean, Darkseid talks a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a force of nature, although he's more of like a, tyrant, a despot kind of a guy. But I don't know. They well, in Marvel, wasn't Thanos fell in love with Lady Death or something like that?
The actual incarnation of Death, who happens to be a woman in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, and obviously she talked, right?
Yeah. But that's also a different universe. I don't know. It's just that's how some people have been nitpicking. Like I said, I don't agree with it, but that's some of the statements I've heard from people.
I mean, because I've liked the animated universe version of Doomsday, and he talked a lot.
Yeah.
But
Mike Walters also a question. He's like, speaking of DC news, did you hear about the comic they are planning on releasing in late March as part of their April Fool's celebration? Harley Quinn Fartacular, serious but deadly. I did hear about it. Now, you want to talk about something that's dumb? That is dumb. I get it, it's an April Fool's thing, but Harley Quinn, who is a very serious character despite being a jester when she first came out. I mean, she's literally based off the Harlequin, the opposite of Il Capitano. Now she is just kind of the butt of everyone's joke, pun intended or not. She's just trying to be sort of like DC's Deadpool almost. Like, that's how they want to use her, and it's just not good. It's a complete erosion of the character.
Not funny. Yeah, I mean, she was never meant to be a main character. I don't get Harley without the Joker.
In fact, I think in the comic is somebody who would have been a better choice to use as the DC's Deadpool, quote unquote, like somebody who's just like a comedy guy. And I think I saw Plastic Man in some of the shots, right? Like, why not just make a Plastic Man comic? He's already, like, everything's a joke with Plastic Man. Every comic that you've ever written.
Well, but isn't he often the butt of the joke? I mean, I don't know that he's always.
It swings both ways.
Yeah. So it says others aren't even trying to disguise their fetishes at this point.
No, it's just out in the open.
True. But before we lose Flit, because hey, Flit, welcome in. We don't see you that often, but he mentions that he wanted to, he mentions that he hadn't seen the trailer. He didn't say he wanted to see it, but I figure we could at least.
Oh, you're trying to force the trailer on him now?
I'm trying to force it on all of you.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I agree with this, but I'll let you.
Well, I want to, see if there's stuff we missed.
I probably missed everything, to be honest.
I didn't immediately, I saw Guy Gardner, but I was like, who's that guy?
God, why is it doing this? Sometimes, I have it on one row, not full screen. There we go.
All right. You got it?
Yeah.
All right.
Listen, I'm just going to forget all of this immediately after we're done watching it anyway.
Yeah, well, that's why we're rewatching, because I already did forget all of it. But yeah, but I saw people complaining that he's kind of at least in the trailer, he just seems a little bit miserable. But
the only thing I like about his outfit is that, like, the colors are actually saturated, which has been a problem for the last few Superman appearances.
Yeah, that's true. They're kind of bright, right?
Yeah. I hate the texture of it. I think the suit looks stupid. It looks like he's wearing a denim, onesie, but it should be like spandex. What's wrong with spandex? Why can't?
Yeah, I wasn't sure I like the curly hair, but I mean, he somehow straightens it out.
It feels very Clark.
Yeah, well, he somehow straightens it out when he becomes Superman, so it makes it look, even less like him. But I love this scene because they did the same thing in Superman Returns,
Yeah.
because he hears her from a distance and then he's like pretending that he doesn't. He's like looking around.
I almost wish they did it the opposite, though. I wish Clark's hair was straight and like Superman's was the messy one, because I would kind of go with the whole spit curl thing.
Yeah, I guess so. So his dad's alive in this one?
I guess. I mean, there are plenty of universes where John Kent's alive.
Well, yeah.
So
I mean, Lois and Clark.
yeah.
Both his parents were.
The animated series, they were both alive.
Yeah, you don't have to kill off the parents.
No.
This isn't a Disney movie for
There's
God's sake.
Crypto.
Yeah. Oh, I love this part. Okay, wait. Okay, what is that?
What is what?
That's my question.
The thing that is doing that? I don't know.
Is that Starro in the background? It looks like a gigantic elephant thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's got like elephant texture. I don't know what that is off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's a foot, it looks like.
Kind of looks like a kaiju.
Crazy. Yeah. That's huge. See, okay. Oh, that's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's
At
like,
Luthor Corp, yeah.
yeah. I didn't quite get what was so badass about him breaking glass. I could do that. It would hurt.
Like that. That just looks so stupid.
Yeah. Maybe I should slow it down a little. Sorry, we're not
And
gonna.
it looks so stupid in so many ways with that I saw people turn into a GIF and just repeating the Guy Gardner part.
Yeah. Like, what's going on here?
But I'm fine with stupid.
Wait,
Yeah, I know there are
is that?
kaiju in the DC universe. I'm aware.
Did that say Stag Industries?
I think so, yeah.
That. Oh God. Well, there's Hot Girl. Didn't notice her in the corner there.
I kind of dig the somewhat motorcycle-like helmet finish to her mask/helmet.
Yeah.
I think it kind of works.
She's
for
got
her.
She's got the spiky mace.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Okay, there's the kaiju. So that's what that foot was, I guess. Okay, what the hell is that?
I think
Is
that's
that-
Pulsar. I mean, it could be
Okay.
another one. There's a few different things that are like that, but
Yeah, and like my question, because they showed this like in stills before, and my
Yeah.
question was like, why isn't he going to save the day? You know?
yeah, he should
What's he
already be
doing
out
there,
there.
just talking to her? Yeah, that's a bit odd. I mean, that's an okay Lois. Is that Metallo? I mean, I don't know who that is.
I don't think so. It doesn't look like it.
No? Okay, there we go. That's Metamorpho.
Yeah. There's so
Whoa.
many things in here. Just so many. Dude, did we really have to
Yeah.
cram the first movie in your big universe with this much stuff?
No. Who is that? It looks like what's his name? Darwin from X-Men.
No. I actually cannot remember that guy's name.
actor.
He's like the second person or maybe third to wear that mantle. I'm trying to he wore it through the 90s. I'm
Okay.
spacing on his name though. Like I recognize the jacket immediately.
Yeah. Looks familiar. I just can't remember. Okay, so they're like maybe it's like they're there's nothing we can do about it, so let's just make out.
He's Superman. There's everything he could do about it.
Yeah, Holt. He's really good. I love is it Nicholas Holt? I like a lot of his stuff. We can let it go, I guess, and talk more about it. But he was really good in what was that vampire movie where he plays the sidekick Renfield?
Yeah,
You ever seen
no, I
that?
didn't watch it.
You never saw Renfield?
No.
Oh my God. That
I know
movie is hilarious.
Vizchozo was going off about it for like a whole year before it came out. No, I've never seen it.
Really? Like bad? I loved it. I watched
No,
it.
no,
I
no.
loved it.
Yeah, he was looking forward to it.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good, good. I wonder if you liked it ultimately, but and he was good in was it Warm Bodies, I think? Where he plays a zombie that basically
I saw trailers for that and I didn't watch
comes
that
back
either.
to life. Not a Nicholas Holt fan, huh?
There's nothing against him. I just haven't seen any of these movies.
Yeah, see, Flit knows what I'm talking about. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's just make out.
He's asking, does that line really work?
Well, I don't know because I'm not usually that tame. It's usually there's nothing we can do about it. So you fill in the blank there.
Oh, he says it's Neutron. Okay, yeah. There's a lot of different star characters in DC.
Oh, okay.
See, Mike says, I also wanted to give you a heads up that I'm planning a panel show for a week from tomorrow on New Year's Eve. I don't know if I can be there or not yet, so don't hold your breath, but I'll let you know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do like that cryptos. It's funny,
Especially given that we normally do a New Year's show on here anyway.
Yeah. So is Crypto from Krypton? Do they have dogs on Krypton, or is he somehow
I think
infused
that
with...
actually depends on which version, but I do believe he was originally from Krypton.
Is he a canon character?
Yeah. I don't know why he wouldn't be. Like, depends what you mean by canon in DC. Like,
Well, like...
this is such a loose word. He's shown up in many
Yeah.
different main continuities, yes.
Well, I didn't know if he was just a joke character, like...
No.
I don't know.
He's been
Squirrel
in, like,
Girl really canon? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yes, at least in the original version, Krypton basically had everything that Earth had. One of Superman's earliest enemies were often just like, oh, look, here's another animal from Krypton that somehow made it to Earth, and now I have to fight it.
Yeah. Wasn't it usually like...
Like, here's a gorilla from Krypton, go fight it. Here's a bear from Krypton, go fight.
Yeah, see, I always thought he was a gag character, too.
No. He's been in, like, Superman proper comics for a long time. But the problem is, like, gags were also normal to the main series comics way back when. You know, like, that's just how it was. You had comedic relief and gags in comics. But, Crypto's been around for a long time.
Yeah, because, okay, so there's a Crypto, the Super Dog cartoon where there was also a bat dog, apparently.
Oh, yeah. There's, like, a whole, like, Justice League of pets in that cartoon.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
like you could say, oh, they're in a different universe if DC does multiverses somewhat.
Usually
Marvel.
each cartoon or animation does count as its own continuity, even if it's based off of something. Crypto did also have his own theatrical movie, yes. But no, he's been in the actual main comics. Yeah.
So, yeah, he was introduced in Adventure Comics number 200.
Yeah.
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 So, okay. Canon enough for me. Oh, sorry, 210. Number 210, March 1955.
Well, I would never.
To my archive.
I would never question Crypto's canonicity, I guess is the word you would use for it.
Yeah.
Just because of the plethora of comics he showed up in.
Oh, okay. 30th Century Legion of Super Pets. and he's also a member of the base Canine Patrol Agents.
Yeah.
Very important.
Where does Crypto live? In Clark's apartment or the Fortress of Solitude? Yes. It depends on which series and comic we're talking about.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Apparently Krypton has this concept of parallel evolution where pretty much every species on Earth is duplicated on Krypto.
So we actually have a word for that
Krypton.
already. You don't need to use the word parallel evolution, though I'm sure that's what the writers should use. We have a word called convergent evolution, which is where even on just our Earth, it happens, but you can imagine it happening on a different planet where just due to fitting a niche in an environment, things end up evolving into the same direction.
Apparently, in real life, scientists do use the term convergent or parallel.
No, I've never heard parallel before, but convergent I've heard as a standard most of the time.
Actually, they're different. So convergent means two completely different species start to become similar as time goes on. Parallel evolution is they just don't get any more different over time. And divergent is obviously they're getting more and more different.
Yeah, so it's kind of like how so a lot of times convergent happens after divergent. Like carcinogation or carcinogation. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce it. But a lot of crustaceans have split off, and a lot of crabs have stopped being crabs. But then because the crab form is just so good for its environment, a lot of those things that stop being crabs slowly start becoming crabs again.
Yeah. Well, you can find out more about evolutionary biology, according to Wikipedia, from a brilliant book by a brilliant scientist, Darwin's Finches, by one John Gould. So check that out. Excellent. Or an ornithologist. I'd highly recommend.
Let's see. If it shows us that if I was behind the DC universe, I would introduce all the ape characters in a Flash movie. That'd be awful. Nobody would go to watch that movie. I don't even think hardcore DC fans would go to watch that movie.
Flit says, you know what else convergently evolved? These nuts.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. Apparently, the story is that there are just dogs on Krypton.
Yeah.
Crypto is one of them.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird name. Give a dog. Like, would you name your dog Eartho?
Well, I mean, it depends, right?
So he was the last one in the universe.
If Crypto didn't have a name before he came here, right? Let's say like Clark is naming the dog after he meets them. Sure, why not, right? It's one of the only other remnants of Krypton you have. Why not call him Crypto?
Yeah,
right.
I guess so.
I would probably call mine Taro, though, just like Terra, but a boy-like name.
Apparently, one of the versions of Crypto was named by a guy named Bibbo Bibowski. He wanted to name him Krypton, but I guess apparently the engraver of the dog tag forgot the N.
Yeah, that's funny. Flit was having a similar idea. He's like, I might name my dog Terra because of a Terran. Yeah. I was going to go with Tarot, kind of like masculinize it a bit, but yeah.
I wanted to name my daughter Terra after the hybrid human
Esper.
What? Esper, yeah, character. I almost said Magicite, but that's what they become when they die.
This is what was also injected into her veins when they did countless amounts of torture on her to try to make her a magic tech elite.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't go that far in real life anyway. But yep, that's the Superman trailer teaser, I guess. I think it looks good.
I mean,
Could be
I don't
terrible.
know. I'm not implying Grodd isn't good enough for a Flash movie. I think Grodd is fine as a villain on his own. I think trying to shove every single ape enemy into your first Flash movie is a dumb idea. If you want to put Grodd in a Flash movie, just make the Flash movie about Grodd.
Sounds good to me. It's a shame that they
It's actually
did
the
such
most
a
fun
terrible
episode
job.
in the Flash TV show was when Grodd was, and he just like rips him out like he's going full speed and just catches him.
Yeah. There was an episode with like King Shark too.
Hmm.
That I thought was pretty amusing. But it's actually a shame that they did such a terrible job with the Flash movie, and
Yeah.
that the actor was so terrible, because like I would have loved to see, and maybe we'll have one eventually, like a Flash movie that involves whatever Dr. Zoom or whatever his name is.
I actually kind of prefer
Reverse
characters like
Flash.
Grodd and like Captain Cold and stuff. I like the ones who aren't just like another Flash
Yeah.
that he has to go against. Like somebody's like, "Oh, you can't go fast because now the floor is ice and slippery, so you have no friction." Ah, ha, ha.
Yeah. Is it Captain Boomerang too? Is that his
Yeah,
name?
there's a Captain Boomerang. Yeah.
Why are there so many captains? And
Oh, they all
Captain
fell out of the
Cold?
Navy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
That's fine.
Actually, I'm not super
they
huge
never-
into the Flash anyway, so I don't even know the backstories for most of his villains. It was always kind of like a peripheral thing to
Yeah.
me. But I do like some of his
Like-
villains. Like Gorilla Grodd is a good villain. I like him.
Yeah. Apparently, none of Flash's villains could make it to Admiral. Just
Yeah.
stopped
They
at
all
Captain.
got dishonorably discharged before then.
Yeah, I guess so. Looking through this, but yeah, I mean, whatever you think of James Gunn, I mean, he's no worse than anyone else in Hollywood. But
The only thing
He's
I
made some
liked,
pretty
and I said this from the
movies.
beginning with James Gunn, when they said he was going to take over, is looking at Guardians of the Galaxy, at least he knows how to have fun with his movies.
Yeah.
So that's what I was like. Visually, there's some things that I'm picking apart from this, but it still, at least as of now, looks fun. The full
Yeah.
trailer or second trailer or whatever later might reverse my opinion on it as we see more, but at least from this, it looks fun.
Did he direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Because that was a depressing movie,
I think he did.
I thought.
I didn't hate it. I went to go see it in theaters because my whole family
was
wanted
alright.
to go. I think it felt really good just compared to all the other things that were sandwiched around it. But
At the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was still it knew how to laugh.
Yeah. Well, I hated how they're like, oh crap, we've been teasing who's that gold guy?
Oh, Adam.
Adam, yeah. And they're like, oh, I guess yep, we'll have Adam in there, and he'll show up in the beginning and then hardly ever, and have no effect on anything. But oh crap,
I just
been
kind of
teasing that.
hated how they went about making Adam Warlock and everything in the first place. I was just like,
Yeah.
kind of like reversing the order too. That like her made him instead of her being made off of him, and because the whole thing is he was being made, his name Adam, to be the perfect man, and they also made of him a kind of like an Eve sort of, and there was supposed to be this whole thing, and the experiments went wrong, and they're like, no, we just need to squeeze him in some other way. It almost felt like
Yeah.
because he even said that Superman's going to have a post-edit credits scene, but it's not going to be anything akin to that horrible setup he was forced to do at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is the Adam Warlock one. I don't think he wanted to use Adam Warlock at all. Like, Marvel, the MCU made him do that, and then they just ended up not using him. It's like, well, now I have to follow through with him because he was at the end of the movie, and people are going to wonder what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how fans of the
Yeah.
character might have disliked it, but it was like I didn't know anything about him anyway,
Yeah.
so I didn't even make the connection. I mean, obviously, I could have figured out Adam and Eve, but like,
Yeah.
I didn't know any of these characters. It seemed cool if they had made him cool, but he
Well,
was just
and also knowing Gunn, because he will alter people's pasts and stuff to fit, but he'll barely do it. He'll just do it like to the point that it's necessary for the storytelling, which, especially when you're working in a greater
Yeah.
universe of other people, like you don't have full control over that. He makes the best out of the situation, and I'm fine with that. If it was up to him, he probably would have just never have used Adam Warlock in the first place, and we wouldn't have to deal with any of the problems. Or if he wanted to use him, he would have used him right.
Yeah, that just seemed dumb and unnecessary. I wouldn't have even cared.
Yeah, Warlock
If
really
he
is
had
his
just
own
not-
character. He should just have his own movie. Like, if you did him right, just make an Adam
Yeah.
Warlock movie.
Yeah, Flit says everything I know comes from the DCAU. Me too, except also the Flash show.
Yeah.
So that was
Are you talking about the
Great
stuff
for the
from the,
most part.
like, I don't remember if Flashpoint
Stuff from
was made
HBO
before
Max.
it, but basically from Justice League War through Justice League Apocalypse, or Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Like that, like 14-year stint or whatever.
I'm guessing he's also talking about like Batman the animated series,
Oh, okay.
Superman.
Yeah, because like people have
that's-
different names for each of these different like continuities, but it's hard to keep them
Yeah.
straight.
It's
But I guess it
it's
was a
really
14-year
hard.
stint. Yeah.
It's really hard to me to keep all of the HBO movies or whatever the Max movies, whatever they are, straight because they're not strictly related. They're
Yeah.
like, I was watching one years ago and I was like so confused because I'm like, I'd watched all the ones up to that, and then it was this movie where the aliens were taking over and like Superman couldn't beat them and all this stuff, and I'm like, I think they killed Aquaman or something.
Yeah, there was a couple offshoot movies too that weren't part of the general
Yeah.
continuity, but there is like I think it's like a 10-year
It's like,
stint.
and they were
But-
like swearing.
There is a thing from like 2012 or whatever, whenever Justice League War came out, all the way to Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. There is a straight timeline of stuff you could watch, and then there were some side things that
Yeah.
weren't necessarily a part of that. But that is actually a different continuity than the thing that start with Batman the animated series all the way through Justice League Unlimited, which is also weird because
Yeah.
there's slightly different sections of continuity in there because it doesn't all line up properly, but they want you to pretend it does. People refer to that as the Timverse because it kind of started with
cares?
Bruce Timm stuff. So usually when people
Yeah.
are saying the DCAU, they're talking about the stuff that came after that. Because these are two separate. Because the Timverse stuff is kind of a mix of things that happened in the past to pull from, but it's mostly New Earth, like the 90s stuff, right? From like that started in the
guess.
very late 80s. And even especially
But a lot of it,
Justice League of America and Justice League Unlimited is very, very New Earth, is what they're going off of. While the DCAU stuff that starts with Justice League War is very New 52. Like they have their New 52 outfits. A lot of their origins are changed to the New 52 origins, and unless you're really
yeah.
paying attention to the comics, you don't really notice all of these changes that are happening.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, some of the later ones I've noticed, like Wonder Woman's outfit changed.
Yeah.
And she sort of seemed to get introduced to some of the characters like later. Like they already, like, it felt like Batman and Superman they always seem to be already working together, except for
Yeah.
like in the Superman TV show from the 90s. Was it the 90s, whatever? Like they had the whole finding out who each other was, and
Yeah, it was from the Superman animated series. It was just called Superman
Yeah,
with
but-
like an
but, like-
exclamation mark. Yeah.
yeah, but like from Justice League on, it was like it's those two guys, and sometimes Wonder Woman is also kind of like knows them just as well, But like sometimes they'll be like, oh, Wonder Woman's like new and she doesn't know any of these people. Like they'll redo the whole origin.
Yeah,
of
so
Wonder
there is almost like a half split in there. So Batman the Animated Series and the Superman Animated Series are just firmly in the same continuity. There's even crossover and stuff. It's done to be the same. But it's kind of hard because of the continuation of Batman the Animated Series that happened with the New Adventures of Batman and Robin. That kind of messed quite a few different things up. But then they kind of like did a soft reboot, sort of, because there was different showrunners and everything, and they kind of just carried the torch from the Timverse stuff for Justice League of America. And that was just even more firm. This is kind of the New Earth continuity that we're doing right here, instead of
I guess that's why
Tim was pulling from a bunch of different things.
Yeah, I guess that's why they kind of had some movie or other where all of a sudden, like, we're being introduced to Wonder Woman again.
Yeah. Well, also, like, I remember the odds. I think it was the odds. There was the World's Finest. There was like 2 movies of it, which were actually based off of comics of the same title. Which World's Finest are where Batman and Superman team up together to like solve a major case. One of those, I think, was when Lex Luthor was the president.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wish I mean I could look it up pretty fast, but it doesn't matter. But there was this one movie that was really odd. That was basically Justice League, and there was a lot of swearing, and a lot of characters died, and it was just like, wow, this is different. Like, this is dark, and I almost thought, like, is this one of those dream things? Like, because sometimes they'd have a whole movie or a series of episodes of like Justice League where they're actually in a parallel universe or something like that. But no, it was just a standalone movie that was just like, we're gonna do a grown-up movie.
Well, they kind of did that not that long ago too, as like the capstone to the DCAU with Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, but it's not the first time they've done something like that.
I do like Constantine the more I see of him.
Yeah.
And then there was also
I love Constantine. He's the best.
Yeah. And there was also the sort of what's it called? Like CGI 3D animated Green Lantern show where
I hated that show.
Really?
Yeah.
The one with where basically one of the lead characters was a Red Lantern.
Yeah.
Razor, right?
I think like I wanted to like it because what I want from Green Lantern is I just want him to be like, I just want him to be space sheriff in his quadrant or whatever that he's supposed to do, which is what the premise of that show is supposed to be. But then it became too much of a Buzz Lightyear Star Command show with Green Lantern instead.
I don't know. I agree with Flit. I think that series was seriously underrated because I've watched it through. I hated
twice. The computer on the ship.
Oh, well,
Absolutely.
Just ignore the parts that you hate. And just
ignore the parts that I hate. That makes the show better, sure.
Yeah, because it wasn't a big part of the show, was it? I mean,
it's not the only thing I hate. It was just one of the many things. Like, I just didn't care for it at all.
But like, I mean, I'd never heard of before that show. I'd never heard of Larfleeze. They had a whole big arc about that, and then the Blue Lanterns, and they met the Star Sapphires and the Red Lanterns. It's all very cool. I liked how Razor was. It showed that they had free will still. Like Razor was kind of trying to overcome his rage, I guess, because his wife got killed or something like that. So,
well, that is kind of the thing with the Red Lanterns is they choose you and take over just because you're basically just filled with rage at that point.
Yeah, but he rebelled against it, sort of. So I don't remember if he eventually gets a green ring, and doesn't he get a green ring and he's like green and red or something?
I don't
remember. Or he gets
I just know if
purified by the Blue
red,
Lantern.
if you take your red ring off, you basically die because when you get the red ring, your blood is replaced with like basically just lava.
Yeah. Well, that's why I feel like,
Yeah.
and I might be remembering wrong, but I don't think he like changed to green. I think at one point he was wearing one of each. And it kind of was it.
I remember in New 52, Supergirl got taken over by a Red Lantern ring. But she's always kind of had anger issues. It was very early in the New 52. So it's like, it kind of makes
Especially in
sense
this-
that she got hit by a Red Lantern ring. And I joked with Buck at the time. It's like, it'd be really funny because, like, Kryptonians could just heal from anything. If at some point she just gets so pissed that she rips the ring off, her like plasma blood just dries out, but then she heals from it. Like, no, I'm good. Just get enough sunlight, I'm fine. And then that's actually ultimately how they solve the problem later on. I like called it 5 years in advance or something like that.
Yeah. Well, and the most recent one, I think they had a 3-part series. It was a, I don't know if you call it a mini series or a trilogy of movies of Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how closely that followed the comics, but it had Supergirl basically helping the Monitor for however many. It seemed like she was. I guess his ship is like outside of time or something.
The Monitor
So maybe
comes
she was
from
with him for like
outside. I don't know if you even call it time. But definitely the concept of time doesn't really exist out there. It's past the source wall. He comes from outside of the DC universe itself. Because the Monitor really ultimately, it's the editorial staff. There's a lot of like actual jokes, meta jokes within the actual Crisis of Infinite Earths if you go back. And part of it too is just like everything was getting too crazy. Like we're at a point where Superman had complete molecular control over his body and could just make up powers when he needed them. Right, so they're like, we're just gonna reset everything, and they this whole like going out, and like the Anti-Monitor itself is basically just the editor. It's the EIC.
Yeah. Getting rid of all of these universes.
Yeah, I watched the last one with you, and I had a few nitpicks. Not even that I was complaining, because the fact that it had to take place at a certain point in meta continuity, because they were also giving throwbacks to other animated series and stuff that are happening. They had to basically change some stuff, but aside from the things they had to change, it was kind of all right. I think it followed close enough, sort of.
Yeah.
There was characters there
didn't
that
see
didn't
the first
exist
movie.
yet, but I mean, again, that's because of this kind of like meta continuity that they're going over.
Yeah. There was one where, like, I guess it was the first one where Flash, essentially, there was no way they could complete the towers that protected all these planets, which was a little bit weird that, like, the Anti-Monitor was specifically going after Earth, like, didn't care about the rest of the universe. But anyway, and Flash basically had to, like, go into super duper hyper speed and just like live years and years and years of his life creating these towers.
Yeah.
And then by the time he finishes, he's an old man, but only a few seconds have passed.
Yeah. If it shows us this Flash can make up powers whenever he needs. Yeah, he still kind of can do that. It's not cool, honestly. There's actually, right now in comics too, and I really hate being caught up with certain details about the DC continuity, because I think the current comics for the most part suck. But when you are in powered scaling communities, you end up hearing about things anyway. And right now, the power scale of the Flash is stupid and unnecessary, and DC has a problem with this stuff, because right now Flash, and I can't remember which one, it might be Dr. Zoom specifically was the one involved in this, but one of the reverse Flashes, they currently scale to the source wall, which means they potentially have universal destructive capacity within their bounds of the universe, which would actually translate to massively multiversal in a lot of other normal universes, because their universe is a macrocosm of universes. So yeah, no, it's just like, why is Flash this strong? He's not entertaining when he's this strong. It's like, yeah, Flash can be anywhere in less than an instant, right? Like, which is something they'd already done way in the past. But like way back then when they first did that, he needed like everyone on Earth running to generate enough like speed force for him to harness, right? I don't know, it's cheesy, but that's comics. And then he was able to beat teleporters across the universe in less than an instant because teleporting happens in an instant.
Yeah.
But now it's like worse than that because it's not even like time travel. Flash is past even the concept of time. In any direction you want to go. You think time only goes in two directions? Now he's going off in a different vector. Like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, because like in that last one with Constantine, was that
Yeah.
a Justice League Dark?
Yeah. That
Or was that
Justice
on
League.
Infinite Earth?
He was in both. He was in Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, and he was in Crisis of Infinite Earths.
I guess it was
Yeah.
Apocalypse War because like almost everyone died.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, yeah, but they basically died trying to rescue Flash. And when they finally did, who had been just running and running, I guess Power Apocalypse or something. They were like, okay, so go back in time and fix it all. I was like, all right, all fixed. Okay, kind of undoes the whole thing.
Yeah,
and gives them infinite power essentially. But I did like I like that one because it was clearly New 52 because they had like, you know, the newest. They had one of the older Starfires and Nightwing were together. It wasn't the one with like curly hair who slept around with everyone. I don't think. It was the cool one. It was the other one.
I don't know. In my mind, every Starfire sleeps around with everyone.
Maybe doesn't mean anything to her. So
yeah.
And I thought the cool older Raven, she's pretty neat. Although she kept like, you know, it was. I guess she was still trying to control Trigon, and they ended up getting him to come out to fight against Darkseid, and they seem.
Dude, Trigon demolishes Darkseid like every single time they actually fight in the comics.
Yeah, he pretty much did in that too. They seemed a little bit evenly matched, but not really. I mean,
well, so like, Darkseid, he is like an embodiment of darkness or like the emptiness of the universe, right? He's like the void of the universe embodied. Trigon, though, is another thing that's from outside the universe. So it's like, you talk about scaling, he just does not give a shit about you at all. Like, he tried to use like a ray on him that would freeze him for like some time, and is like, okay, it froze Trigon for like 5 minutes, and then he bust out of it.
So what does it say that Raven can keep him inside her forever, like, or for, you know, however many decades?
Well, so there's some things about Raven herself, right? So Raven is potentially very powerful, but the reason that she doesn't inherently scale to her dad is because she is a special vessel. It's kind of like Link has the Master Sword so he can kill something that has planetary destruction, but that doesn't mean he is of planetary level himself. That's kind of Raven, but she does have the potential to be as strong as Trigon. So it depends like what continuity, where we are in it, or whatever.
Yeah. Her only drawback is that she has to say Azarath Metreon Zinthos before doing it. Really strong.
That's also continuity dependent.
It's like, what if you can stop her before she finishes saying that? Is that? I wonder if that's an actual. Was that a line from the latest DC movie?
The one that he said, everyone thinks they're a new god until an old god shows up.
Yeah, what Flit said in the chat. That sounds like something Trigon would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess you're right, Flit. I do kind of like the version of Starfire who doesn't think sex is any big deal.
Yeah. I thought you liked the version of Starfire from Teen Titans, which is effectively just Lum from Urusei Yatsura.
I like. Well, okay. Let's back up here. I don't like any version of Starfire. She's evil, and we don't like her. So that's, you know, Hellraven, all that. But if I did like her, which I don't, I kind of like all of the. I would like all of the versions. I think in each of their own ways.
I do think the fluffy, like 80s hair or whatever. I guess actually even earlier than that, technically 60s hair, is probably the best look that Starfire has had.
That the newer version
No,
of
that's
her
the oldest
had
version
the
of her had the fluffy hair. Like, that's actually like the oldest version of Starfire.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen it before, but like the newer version of her that was like
Yeah.
really sexy and
Yeah, they
so
probably
good
just
with
took
everything
it
that
from the
moved.
old version.
Yeah, she had like
She was
the
a
frizzy
model
hair.
as her day job originally. Was it 81? I think is what happened. So it is 80s hairs. Go back and read New Teen Titans, Volume 1.
Okay.
Yeah. That she has the hair in that. And I think it
But
was.
truth be told, and this is the truth. I actually like pretty much all versions of Raven even better than her.
Yeah.
More, I guess I like the girls who play hard to get. So
Yeah.
I actually like the Starfire Nightwing as a couple.
Oh, it's better than they were trying to make Starfire and it's still a Robin, sort of. He stopped being one, but Red Hood in the Red Hood and the Outlaws comic that happened a few years back. They're actually trying to hook her and Red Hood together, and I think she had like amnesia, like she couldn't remember Dick or something like that, and that was the whole reason. I forget. I have a copy of one of the issues here, but I was like, why? Why are you doing this?
Who was Red Hood? Was he like Damien? Who
Yeah, it
was...
was, no, it was why am I the dude who was killed by the Joker with the crowbar? What's his name? Jason Todd.
Oh, Jason
Yeah, I was
Todd.
like spacing on his name. Yeah, Jason Todd. He's a Red Hood.
Well, that's fine because he died.
Well, no, he was brought back to life. That's why he's the Red Hood.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. But yes, as Flit brought up, yes, I like Dick Fire.
Your one true pairing.
Is that
That's
what that
what
is?
OTP is, the one true pairing. Yeah.
One true pairing, got it.
Yeah.
But I like Raven and Damian Wayne. Weren't they sort of a couple?
That's also like the least liked couple by most people. Well,
Well.
especially because it's like the age difference between them too and everything. And a lot of times, like when it happens, it's usually in side media and they kind of like equalize their ages. But like Raven's already an adult by the time that Damien even comes into the picture as a kid in like the comics. Yeah.
After he's grown up,
Yeah.
who cares?
Yeah. Kick marsupial. I
It's better
agree.
than Kick Marsupial. Come on, they were cute in that last movie, though. The Apocalypse War.
Listen, I don't even like Damian Wayne. I think he's a horrible character.
He gets burned alive, right? And doesn't she bring him back to life? I think at the end. I don't know.
The only time I remotely liked Damian Wayne was in the what's it called? Limited series, Super Sons, where it was him and John Kent, Superboy, and they kind of had this like it was very manga inspired to the storytelling too. They kind of had like a Naruto and Sasuke thing going on, but they were just running around trying to do something. They got, even for somebody like they have a Kryptonian on their side who is pretty strong, got the shit kicked out of them. It was actually really fun to watch them overcome things.
Oh shoot. Damn it. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say what Fitzjozo said.
Can I time Fitzjozo for that comment? Do you even have? I don't even think you have mod version, does he? Oh, I can't see.
Yes, he is. Yes, Flit is a mod.
Oh, you know what? I think I modded him back when we were doing the RPG. I think I modded everybody who was on the RPG.
Anyway, I was about to
I
say
can't
I
see
like
who is
Raven
and isn't a
more.
mod on this screen. It doesn't show wrenches or anything.
Oh, okay. I see them. Yes. He has a wrench. No, I mean, we'll wait until Fitzgerald says something even more
Egregious.
outlandish before we.
Yeah.
Who do you like Raven with, Flit? You? You and only you?
Single Raven. Single Raven's pretty good.
Boring.
Her love is her books.
Who was it that? Oh, it was Barbara that slept with Bruce Wayne, right?
Yes, and a lot of people find that to be a very huge mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she was technically with Dick at the time. He was out of town.
Yep. Anyway.
I did have other things to talk
something
about
else.
instead of just going on about DC stuff the entire time.
Well, you know, it was topical because of the movie.
Yeah, this is my wrenches from the before time. From the long, long ago. Yeah. Before 3 different continuity resets.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. What were some of the other stuff? Oh, here's some comic book news, actually. Completely unrelated. And Meat Canyon, you know, the animator on the internet. We've talked about, actually, on the other channel recently, I think, because of his Twitch ban. He put out pre-orders for a comic that he made based off of his animated series, Melvin's Macabre. So you could go get that. It's under Bad Egg Publishing, which is the publishing company started by Moist Critical, Charlie, Penguin Zero. Pretty cool looking. I like the series that he did, but if you have time to actually illustrate everything, it doesn't have to be animated. You can be a little bit more detailed, so that could be cool. It's been announced for a bit, but I forgot to talk about it. It was back on the 16th.
So do you think Timothy Olsen should sue him for using the name Melvin?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think he has any grounds to sue him, but he could try.
Yeah. I guess there could be more than one character named Melvin.
Yeah, it's not like the actual title is just Melvin, right? It's just like a full Melvin's Macabre.
Cool. I didn't know who Meat Canyon was until
like
he got banned from Twitch.
very recently.
Yeah, last week.
Meat Canyon and Moist Critical unalive me now. I don't think Moist Critical has anything to do with the book other than the fact that it is under his publishing company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I know who Moist Critical is.
Yeah.
AKA Charlie. Don't like his name though.
You don't like the name Moist Critical? What about his actual username, Penguin Zero?
Yeah, I like that better. I like that. Flit says, Meat Canyon and Moist Critical unalive me now.
No, it was Flit said that, yeah. Right. And Fizz Joseph says Meat Canyon is that gross animation guy. Yeah, his animations are pretty gross. That's actually one of the things I like about them.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, Chainsaw Man's getting a movie.
Yeah, I saw
next year.
that. I think it was actually announced quite a while ago, but there's been some updates on it recently. I'm wondering when it's going to get its next season, but usually, because a lot of these companies try to tie the movies into the actual series, it'll probably be after they're done animating the movie, then they'll start working on the next season. But, you know.
Okay. I don't quite understand Chainsaw Man. I've never seen the show, but
it's
does he?
All right.
Does he always have chainsaws in his head and his hands, or just that's his superhero persona or something?
He's not even really a superhero, really, but I guess he kind of is in the context of his world. So his world is kind of being overran by devils.
Okay.
And he becomes a devil hunter after he is basically killed by one, and a small little dog that turned out to be a devil that was a pet that he took care of basically sacrificed himself to bring him back to life. And the dog was like the remnants of the chainsaw devil. And now he is the chainsaw devil. He'll pull the ripcord and he gets like chainsaws out of his arms and his face and everything, and he has to go and fight other devils. That's his job.
Oh. How is there a chainsaw devil?
So devils,
I think that-
in this case, represent every fear that humanity has. So there's like a devil for every possible fear. There's a falling devil, which is one of the most powerful devils because it's the concept of falling. Because it basically has complete control over gravity. There's also like a gun devil. There's all kinds of different ones. So it's like if you could think of a fear that a human might have, there's a devil for it.
Mm-hmm. I would think gun devil would be chainsaw.
Gun devil is actually one of the most powerful devils because of every time somebody gets killed by a gun or whatever, it increases gun devil's power. And he's like currently like a kaiju. Well, currently, as far as the anime is concerned, it's past that in the manga. But in the anime, he's currently like a kaiju-sized devil just like walking across the U.S. And he technically works for the U.S. government. Like the president is the one that made the contract and brought the gun devil there in the first place.
Is there a trypophobia devil?
Probably. They'd probably just call
Fear of,
himself the whole devil.
Yeah. Actually, that would be the character from the from that Spider-Verse movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
What was it? With all the holes all over him?
I don't remember his name. I know what you're talking about. He's basically
Spot.
Spot. Yeah, he's got like portals and stuff. He can slide things through.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got Chainsaw Man is a pawn of the Japanese government, which is ran by some demon lady. Yes, technically. He works for the organization that hunts devils, and he's not aware that the person who runs the organization that he's actually in love with, Makima, is a devil herself. And she is like one of the 4 most powerful devils.
It looks like there's some sexy girls in this show too.
Oh yeah.
Or in the movie.
Makima has a contract with the like Prime Minister of Japan, so she can't die. Anytime lethal damage would happen to her, it kills somebody else instead in Japan, like a citizen of Japan.
The Prime Minister has that power?
No. Makima has it as part of the contract that they made. So he basically is willing to sacrifice the citizenry of Japan for the sake of their contract.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can't kill her.
So he has to like kill someone?
No, he doesn't even have to. He just gave her permission, basically. That's part of it. As the guy who oversees the country, he basically just gave her that permission. So now if somebody tries to kill her, some random citizen of Japan will just die from that same force instead.
Why did she have to get his permission?
Because that's how, devils work. They make contracts with people.
Oh. Okay.
At least at the highest power. The lowest ones don't really need contracts, but they also just don't have the same level of influence either.
I see.
Let's see, Sir Gentlebread showed up. He says it's pure chainsaw badassery. I think the manga is. But I think what goes on in the anime is trying to be. There's certain levels of computer-generated, like, 3D models that throw me off in the show. I watched it. I enjoyed it. But I just think the manga's better because of that.
Yeah. So
there is a bat devil, yes.
Not to change the subject too much, but has there been any announcement of Konosuba, whatever the next season is?
No, I have not seen that. I did see that Spy Family was confirmed for about October next year, so you have to wait that long, but it's coming.
So long.
Yeah.
So
but I've not seen anything.
I can't even stand that we have to wait a week between episodes of Danmachi.
Yeah. Well, we're done with Ranma, actually, so we just saw the last episode. Until like this time next year or whenever it started. Yeah.
Now I need to go back and watch the original, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Would you say it's better? Do you think it was better than?
That depends.
Different.
It's different. The first season is almost identical, but it's different pacing, obviously, because there's more episodes in the season.
Yeah.
They also cropped out, like I told you this before, the ice skating episodes were cropped out of it because they
Yeah.
had to shorten it. The season got canceled preemptively, but then they came back
Oh.
with in season 2. They changed some things, and those 2 episodes were made the first 2 episodes of season 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, part of it was just the time slot and a lot of the decisions that they made.
Yeah.
But then after a while, it becomes very, very sitcom-y by comparison because they add a lot of filler in it and a lot of their own episodes. And part of that was them catching up to the manga and everything. But it's different. I like a lot of the animation better just because I'm a sucker for that classic hand-drawn cell animation. I like the aesthetic of everything, the painted backgrounds. But in many ways, the new one is closer to the manga and better because of that. Like, a lot of the shots are just straight up from the panels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Fitzchozo asks, how strong is the Spider Devil? And Sir Gentlebread states that spider propaganda in recent years has no doubt weakened it. Is that like pro-spider propaganda?
Oh yeah,
I guess
you
so.
know, like spiders, they're good for your environment. They take care of the insects and blah blah blah. Maybe I don't remember. I think they actually did talk about the Spider Devil at once, but I just don't recall to be able to answer that. I would assume the Spider Devil would probably be like a middling power devil anyway, just because there are a lot of people that are afraid of spiders.
Yeah. Flitz asks, speaking of Ranma, and I don't mind getting into this if you don't.
Sure.
Thoughts on how Shampoo is handled. All I can do is give my thoughts on meeting the character for the first time.
Yeah.
And then you can talk more extensively, I'm sure. But I'll just say, so far, because you got to stop giving me like sneak peeks or spoilers of what happens later. But you just been kind of hinting. But at the moment, she seems like a sort of a tragic character because it's like I feel really bad for her for falling in love with Ranma when he's taken, but then at the same time, she's such a psycho. She's going after female Ranma.
Yeah.
But she had the opportunity to kill what's his fiance's name again?
Akane.
And she didn't. She just took away her memory. So I thought that was kind of potentially compassionate, like because she didn't want to compete against her. Apparently didn't want to kill her. So I mean, she's super cute. I wish she would find happiness somehow, somewhere.
Oh, don't worry. You're gonna. I don't know if regret those words, but
I almost wish Pichan would fall in love with her.
No. There's somebody else. You'll be fine. Just wait. It'll happen next season. It was in the preview for next season too. Yeah, this will be fine.
Yeah. Except she actually tried to cook Pichan, so
yeah.
That was like, oh my god.
I don't want to spoil too much for a 30-something-year-old series. I think 35 years. But in fact, actually, because there's potentiality for a different suitor, you're probably going to be even more mad at Shampoo later on.
Uh-oh. Well, and I liked the ice skating couple before her. It was funny because like
the thing is they're not actually a couple. They're a duo, right? Like they work together, but they don't actually like each other.
Yeah, I didn't mean that they were a romantic couple, but the ice skating duo. And the guy was like trying to like I guess romance Akane and female Ranma at the same time, and did he ever figure out? I don't think he did. That
no,
female and male Ranma were the same person.
Most people don't actually like. This is technically a spoiler, but it's not. It just shows you the pacing of the show. It's not until like 2/3 or so into the manga that even most of the school knows, and that's because like in the middle of a competition, Ranma's dad just comes out and like and just like switches him back and forth. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Because right now you're like, well, it's not that uncommon for people to have the same name and look similar.
Yeah. But they did show shampoo. It's kind of like the only solution. It's like, okay, look, person you hate and this person you love are the same person.
Yeah.
Broke her heart, sadly. What else are they going to do?
Well, especially the way Ranma frames it to Shampoo at that moment, and she can't know any better, is that Ranma is always girl Ranma, and that boy Ranma that she fell in love with is a disguise, and that's one of the reasons why she storms out of there.
Yeah. He kind of flips it around and says that the girl Ranma is the real one. But it's funny that Akane does seem to accept him, like regardless of his little curse.
Oh yeah.
So, which kind of like at the beginning, they were really implying that she was a lesbian. Turns out not at all. But at the same time, yeah, girls are often flexible with that.
Yeah, girl sexuality is a lot more loose than guys on average. But there's a through line in the manga where she does kind of like Ranma the way he is, but like I said, most of the time, because it is a comedy, that ends up getting subverted, right? Just like there's kind of like Ranma embraces his femininity a lot. People are like, are you sure you really want to turn back? But every single time he does, it also gets subverted comedically too. It's just the nature of the series.
Yeah, I swear, people take these things too seriously. Like, it's clearly a comedy. It's silly and ridiculous, funny.
Yeah, so I guess I can start answering Flit's question now, as you've given your kind of view on meeting Shampoo for the first time. So in the manga, and this has been translated a few different ways in animation, Shampoo speaks what you might call pigeoned Japanese. She doesn't speak Japanese very fluently like a native speaker would. This is kind of a stereotype for Chinese speakers at that time, and like from the 70s through the 80s, actually maybe even slightly into the 90s, of just Japanese media. It actually goes all the way back to when Japan first stopped being isolationist and let other people in. And a lot of Chinese people came in, and this just kind of became a stereotype of the way that Chinese people spoke, even if they actually spoke very well. And it's because Japanese was a closed-off language for most of the people due to them being in isolation. You didn't have a way of studying it before coming to Japan, and people would overuse, say, like pronouns, even though pronouns aren't used a lot in the Japanese language, or you would use your proper noun instead, or people would like overuse verbiage as well in a way that you don't need to, because you're when you first learn a language, you're almost trying to translate your language into it instead of actually just learning the nuances of the language, right? And this is just kind of became a stereotype of Chinese speakers of Japanese for a long time. Shampoo picks this up. I actually have an article on furinkin.com that talks about this from a couple weeks ago, just so I have something to reference, but this is something I've talked about several times myself. In the manga, she overuses the term aru a lot, aru, and it kind of just means to be in Japanese. So it's like somebody who uses is or being a lot in English, right? Like, you are being this, or so on and so forth. She also tends to use her name a lot more often than she needs to. So she doesn't have that problem where she's using like pronouns a lot, which is times like English speakers have that. But instead of just like implying who you're talking about from the previous sentence or whatever, Shampoo would say the name Shampoo a lot in the manga, because that's also just common in that speak.
So is that different from the way she was portrayed in the last version or in the manga?
So in the last version, no version has ever had her overuse Aru in the animated version, even the Japanese original voice acting. But they would have her speaking certain forms of kind of like choppy or broken Japanese. They had her speak kind of somewhat broken English in the translation. She would definitely use her proper name a lot, right? Her proper noun name, saying Shampoo. In this one, her speech isn't that bad. She does come in speaking only Chinese at first because she speaks Chinese. She does have a few quick sentences here and there, but I think instead of emphasizing on her speech, sometimes it was broken. I did notice a couple sentences where she like skipped over maybe like an adjective or something that should have been there, or even an article that should have been there. For the most part, they leaned heavier into the voice actress's accent, who is a loud Chinese accent. And I think they did fine. If she speaks exactly the same way when she comes back, I don't think I'll have a problem with that. It's if she comes back and suddenly she's speaking like flawless English in the dub, or even in the original flawless Japanese, I think I would have more of an issue with that. And I do think that is just an issue with the English dub, though. I haven't watched the Japanese to know if, say, like the Jusenkyo guide speaks with like an accent or choppy Japanese, but we do know in the English dub he doesn't. He actually just seems like he's speaking proper English when he talks to them. And the guide was another one of those people who spoke a certain variation of broken Japanese. Funny thing is, not every Chinese character speaks broken Japanese in the series. It's only specific ones, and not all of them do it in the same way. And I think the reason they chose all of them to have, or Rumiko Takahashi, she chose all of them to have specific ways of doing it, is so that you could tell who's talking, right? Like giving the character a voice. So they have like different mannerisms, and Shampoo specifically is the overuse of Aru. That's her mannerism. Even if you don't see who the bubble is connected to, seeing that overuse of Aru in there, you know Shampoo is talking.
Yeah. Well, it kind of makes sense. Yeah. It seemed like she grew up in that isolated sort of Amazon group of just all women.
The Chinese Amazon women.
Yeah. And what did you think of the way she was depicted when she was all cute and lovey-dovey? Was that similar?
Oh, no, that's normal. Actually, I think this one did a better job of showing Shampoo's cute side than the original did. But like I said, a lot of them are just straight up, they see a shot, like a panel in the manga, and they base the sequence off of that. Now, there's like effects and flowery things that weren't necessarily there because these manga were drawn a lot faster due to time restrictions. But a lot of them, they just look straight up and look. Shampoo is supposed to have a cute side. She is a crazy psychopath, but she's supposed to have like this redeeming. You could see why somebody would be hesitant to actually want to say no to this woman.
Yeah. They did that with one scene in particular in Frieren, where there was like, I don't know, one page or maybe one panel of dancing, and they like took that one panel and just like blew it up into this whole incredible, just like heartfelt scene. But you mentioned when we were watching, or maybe after we watched, that Ranma near the end calls Akane, as I believe what he tries to call her, or he calls her in Japanese, is basically like unkawaii.
So it's like a made up word. I think it's like kawaii sen, right? Because if you add like n at the end of something, it kind of just becomes the negative, which is not an actual word in Japanese. There you would use the word for no, basically the negative, and then kawaii. And because he's got like this made up word, they translated it to uncute originally in the older one. And in this one, he just keeps saying, "You're not cute, you're not sexy." And like he gets it apart, but it doesn't have like the charm of him saying this like made up word.
Yeah. So it just came. Well, I mean, he said that multiple times. Anyway, so the point was that he was trying to sort of break her out of her. I guess jog her memory after her memory was taken away by Shampoo, but it didn't quite have. I mean, when you described, and if I listened to the Japanese, I probably could have seen or heard him say kawaii sen. I
don't even know if they say that in the Japanese version, to be honest. I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
I could see how that would be funnier. Yeah. You know, you're basically saying like you're uncute or unkawaii. You know.
Yeah. Like it's
rather
not
than
that you're
just
not
not
cute.
cute.
It's you're
Like
the opposite. Like you're going in the opposite
yeah,
direction almost.
yeah. It's the way they did it was just like not. I could see how that was not quite as funny, but it does kind of uh, jar her out of her reverie or whatever it's
Yeah, well,
called.
it's also like him having a
How's your memory?
specific way insult
Yeah,
makes it personal, right? So when she hears that term, it's like that is something Ranma says. It's not like something anybody else says to me.
Sir Gentlebread claims that Wenga from Ping Pong the anime really is just a better version of shampoo.
I don't know. I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Me neither.
Yeah. Shampoo is so
Um,
popular. I mean, a lot of people don't even know just how influential Rumiko Takahashi's works have been outside of Japan necessarily, unless they've seen like Inuyasha was very popular, so I think people know about that. And then you'll see like Lum from Urusei Yatsura floating around the internet, but a lot of people just like recognize her. They don't even know her name or where she's from. But like people don't understand how like influential it's been on both the manga and animation industry, Takahashi's works. That you see a bunch of characters pop up that are basically like other people's versions of her characters. So like in I believe Slayers later on, there's these like two Chinese girls that basically just they're like I think they're supposed to be twins or whatever. But they just look like Shampoo. Like they've got purple hair and buns and stuff and everything. And like it happens a lot in a lot of different series.
yeah. So sorry, Sir Gentlebread says Chinese came to Japan, fell in love with people from it, and speaks Chinese. That's not exactly what happened in the show. She fell in love with Ranma. No, wait. I guess it is what happened. She got the vendetta against female Ranma because Ranma beat her,
Yeah.
and apparently
Like,
it's
Ranma,
like the
you
code
die.
of the Amazons. Yeah, and then when she came to Japan, Ranma beat her again, but this time as a man. And then the code is that he has to be her husband. So
Yeah.
she instantly falls in love with him.
3,000 years of
I guess that basically is how it happened.
Chinese Amazon tradition can't go down the drain like
Yeah.
that.
Yep. So we're kind of out of time. I want to at some point talk about Rascal Does Not Dream of
Well,
Bunny
you know what?
Girls.
Maybe we should watch some more before that because
Well, here's the
we
problem.
haven't finished the season at least, right?
The problem is,
Yeah.
I read a little bit ahead, and I'm
Yeah.
really concerned that the next couple of episodes are going to be really hard to watch because it's funny. If Flit is still here, I was like, "Ooh, Buddy Girl, that sounds like a cute show. That sounds like a fun show." I wanted to say, "Oh, hot girl, yay!" And then it turns out it's like really deep and really heavy, and it's like, "Oh my god!"
So you're saying I'm gonna have to go
When his
finish
little
this without
sister. No, I'll watch it.
Okay,
We can watch it. But man, when his little sister walks in the room and she gets those cuts on her, like, oh my god, it broke my heart. It's a really cute show. Well, we can watch more, but it's gonna be
Yeah. I expect it
a
to
little
be.
bit heart wrenching.
I want it to be.
Yeah. I mean, that's what makes it good. But it's just like, oh god, show killing me in a good way.
Let's see.
But I mean, that's why, honestly, Don Machi season 3 so far has been my favorite, but it's also for me the hardest to watch. It's like, oh my god, this is. Ugh. I mean, you saw me. I think I had tears coming down my face. I was like, oh my god, I can't take this, but I loved it. But I think we'll have to talk about that after the season's over, I guess, because I'm still
maybe. Yeah.
frustrated every week. Like, oh, right when it gets good, they have to stop.
Steve Fitzgerald says Miss Makikonis, I guess, is some anime from the 70s about little kids sexually harassing their teacher. Never seen it, so I can't really give you an opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I did.
Or Miss Machinko. I've never seen it. Sorry.
Well, we can talk more about Rascal later, but yeah, I mean, it was really cute when his girlfriend gives his sister a present.
Oh yeah.
Very sweet. See, I love that she is interested in, his sister and, wanting to help her break out of her shell. It's really cute.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. You said hard to watch. That's a weird experience because I barely ever have the experience for something being hard to watch.
Well, I don't.
Yeah.
That's not exactly the right term.
Yeah.
It's not hard to watch. I don't feel like turning it off. I can't
Yeah.
look away.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the opposite. But it's hard. I haven't rewatched season 3 for a reason because it's so heart wrenching.
Yeah.
And obviously obvious to me, it's partly because I have children.
Yeah, I guess that, but I don't know. It's like I think very few times I've ever hit a situation where something is actually hard for me to watch. Has been at certain levels of disgust, right? And it's also very specific levels of disgust, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, there have been things where I just had to turn them off because I hated them, and there have been things that were hard to watch because they were so boring. I was like, ugh,
yeah, I've had that issue too.
But no, it's a figure of speech. I mean, it's so good, but it's so heart wrenching.
Yeah,
I love it actually, and if I sat down and started watching season 3 again, I wouldn't be able to turn it off. I would want to watch the whole thing all the way through. I love watching, but it's just like, ugh, it's very emotional.
I think there actually is one scene in a show that every time I watch it, it actually is hard for me to watch. But I think to some degree, it is actually triggering a certain disgust reflex in me.
Yeah, cringe can be hard to watch.
Oh, it's not even cringe. It's
like embarrassment.
Yeah, there's a part where in Code Geass, where the main character who comes from the royal family, his sister is trying to actually reach out to him, and they're going to try to solve the problem. It's going to be solved now, which it can't be because it's like halfway through the series, right? And you won. But then he like loses control over his power that tells him to do things while he's saying something like sarcastic, and accidentally gets his sister, who loves the Japanese people, the command that she needs to kill all the Japanese. And it is like the worst thing because she's like the only good person in the entirety of the series, and she has to die now.
Yeah.
That's like the last time I watched something that was actually tangentially hard to watch.
Yeah. I guess I used the wrong term. It's just.
Well, I mean, in that almost somewhat heartfelt way, in a way, because you're like, this is the only character you actually care about,
Yeah. Heart-wrenching is a good word. Is it heart-wrenching because it's well written, or because it's emotionally manipulative? In the case of Don Machi, I think it's very well written.
Yeah.
Clanad. What is Clanad?
Clanad is a visual novel, I think. I think it was originally a visual novel before anything else. But it's an animated series of anime that you can go watch. And there's death in it.
Okay.
And also there's an after story where the death didn't matter. Like, why'd you even do this?
Okay. This shows has some interesting things that he's watched. But no, I mean, I think that season 3 of Don Machi has some really, I don't know that it's like applicable of real life in any way, shape, or form. But it's just a very interesting concept of. They introduced the idea. Well, I mean, I guess you could say could be some of it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Basically, they introduced the idea that the monsters that they've been fighting can become intelligent and they're people too, right?
Yeah. And
it's just like, okay, what does that lead to? Well, it leads to the potential that
you're talking about like reading.
Not in a romantic way, but basically that human and a monster, one could fall in love with the other, or that they could become family and love the other. And then it's like, well, wait, but the monsters and humans are like sworn to kill each other. It's not romantic love. There's a monster child that basically falls in love with Belle as sort of a father figure.
Yeah.
And it's really sweet. But then they have to deal with the fact that she's a monster and everyone else wants to kill her. Yes. Is it wrong to try to pick up girls in?
Yep. That's
and
the
the other
short
one
hand
is
for it. That like everyone refers to it as, yeah.
Yeah. And the other one that we're watching now, we should just watch it because I don't know. I just kind of read a synopsis of the next couple episodes. Sounds really sad, but Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girls, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's like a movie called Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, or is that the name of the show? I don't know.
The show is Bunny Girl Senpai because she's of the class above, so she's his senpai.
Got it.
Yeah. No, this got a different title. It's a light novel series, like a lot of these things are. So, it's all Rascal Does Not Dream of blank, right? So it'll be like something is each like book or volume.
Well, it's sweet because it's like it rapidly becomes this relationship between these two characters, these unlikely boyfriend and girlfriend. And she's older, obviously more, I mean, she's an actress. So, she's a bit more, I don't know, she's definitely more mature. But at the same time, she still is like a little bizarre. Well, I mean, I guess it's a Japanese thing, and maybe it's just a girl thing. She still is very shy, so it's a bit odd.
Honestly would say the opposite. She's more adult because of her life, but she's more immature than him. Because she gets flustered way easier than he does.
Yeah, I guess. But I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
We got to watch it. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
But if you're talking about is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon, I'd try watching again because so far it's just gotten better and better every season. The first season's a little slow, but it gets so much better when he starts to build up his family and more characters come in, and then they go on these adventures. I loved season 4 too. It's very long, and you get to meet, you get to know Ryu a lot more, and see all of the adventures, kind of how they deal with an extremely difficult level of the dungeon, so several levels.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of character development in season 4. But anyway, we're way over.
Oh, we are way over. I will say, based on something that Fizz Chozo said, it's just another high school anime. They all run together in my head. Despite the fact that Ranma is my favorite, and they are at school quite often, I'll have to say, like, you pretty much get a debuff immediately from me if your story takes place at school. Now, luckily, they're not at school all the time in this, but that's like an immediate debuff to it because I just don't really like the setting of school, especially anytime something takes place in class, even if it's just somebody like daydreaming while the teacher is talking or anything like that. Like, just please leave me out of class as much as possible. With the
referring to Rascal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they're getting away from that more. I mean, it is that a lot in the beginning, but I think more and more. But it's really cool how they have, like, we were wondering because he kind of solves the initial problem in the first 3 episodes? 3?
Yeah.
And then
it only took 3 episodes for them to fix that part.
Yeah, and then and then just more wacky stuff happens. But it's not like outside stuff. It's like they keep meeting different people, or different people pop in who have like their
Puberty
inner
syndrome.
being is being projected outward in certain interesting, unique ways. So,
Well, so
like,
far,
like
which we can explain it more if we get into it next time. A lot of it has
Yeah.
to do with the concept of atmosphere, and a lot of the concept of the social atmosphere is one-to-one with like social media and other things related to it. Which I could go more into those comparisons. That the show is pretty much very much cemented at this point. I don't know if it'll go more into it, but even both different problems had to do with the social atmosphere so far. Well, they explained
mean,
it at
they
the very
say
end with the
that.
second one. Oh no, it makes sense, especially if you know about Japanese culture. Like it makes perfect sense
I
because a lot of
guess.
Asian culture is about blending in and the status quo.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I get that. I think it's just more about. I think it's just more about these people are manifesting things physically that they're feeling emotionally, and so it's just
Yes,
an
but that's the
interesting
same
way.
thing. That's just another way of
Okay.
putting the same thing down.
I just don't like that.
Oh,
I don't see how the word applies here.
yeah.
That's the way the word they use. I'm like
Yeah.
atmosphere. I don't even understand what it means.
Well, the social atmosphere, right? So there.
Still
I
don't
think we should
understand
just
what
go
it
into
means.
this more next time because we're gonna. This would take a long time to actually probably argue about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you keep saying it, but it's not.
Yeah.
explained.
Like I'll explain it, but like we're just.
All right.
I don't want to be here for another hour.
I know. Okay,
Yeah.
we're done.
Okay.
I
So
love all this.
yeah. Thank you guys for showing up. We're over time. If you enjoyed it, please share it out with somebody else. And if you really enjoy it, you can always go one step beyond, give a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitoriumlive. And we'll see you guys on Thursday.
Bye. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.